The stupidest aliens in the universe attack the stupidest humans on Earth in Independence Day on this episode of Review. Why are you pointing to?
Oh, I thought we were doing a thing.
No, I point. Well, Jay, it's time to talk about the 1996 hit film Independence Day. And we're talking about Independence Day today on this episode of Review because Independence Day Resurgence will be coming out soon.
Is that the title? Mm-hmm. Resurgence? I always want to say like Resurrection or
Regurgitation.
Regurgitation, that's more appropriate.
Yeah.
People love this movie, the original Independence Day. People love it. Not even, like, I can see, like, people younger than us, like, that, you know, were, like, 10, 11 years old when it came out. But there's people our age, people whose opinions I respect, that will defend this movie. And I've never understood it. Whenever we talk about Independence Day, just in random half-in-the-bag episodes, we'll bring it up and how much it sucks. And there's always those comments. The fuck, you don't like Independence Day? People, not only do they like it, but they get, like, defensive about it.
The movie ushered in a new era of big dumb blockbusters. It was a watershed film.
In a bad way.
In a bad way. There was the Spielbergian Lucas movies in the 70s and 80s, the big popcorn summer movies, Jaws, you know, E.T., but Independence Day kind of like, it was kind of like Scream, where it changed the genre. Like before Scream came out, the horror genre was essentially dead.
Yeah.
But Independence Day was like, boom, big summer event movie.
Disaster porn. We're talking about the world here. We're talking about blowing up the White House. That image in this movie is like the most iconic thing in the last few decades of big blockbusters.
Yeah, but the movie also ushered in an era of dumb script writing.
Well, that's the thing, is like I was rewatching it, because I don't watch this movie very often because I don't like it. But I rewatched it for this, and I was thinking, we often talk about, you know, structure and character arcs and all that stuff. The structure is there. So what is the difference between this and a movie that works when it has all those elements?
The key word here, Jay, is dumb. The movie is dumb.
Yes.
The movie is made for simpletons.
Well, the story, yeah, I think it's you take like a general structure, you take your character arcs, you take all that stuff, and a good movie will flesh them out. Or sometimes it makes a movie seem more intelligent than it is, because, you know, there's a lot of older, like, big blockbuster movies that are elevated by all the details, by fleshing out the characters, by fleshing out the story. And this is a movie that has all those story structure elements, and then that's it. It's like that's the base, and you build on top of that. And this movie didn't do that. It's all just those base elements.
Well, the characters don't feel three-dimensional or real. It feels like a film version of like a Saturday morning kids show cartoon, because you have characters that are so one-dimensional. It's so unrealistic. And there's a lot of moments in there that are what I call the dumb people cheer moments.
The dog.
The dog.
That's the defining moment.
Yeah, and okay, it may not advertise itself as a dark, serious doomsday, apocalypse, end of the world, aliens destroy the planet kind of movie. It's not parading itself around as that. We may not like it, but it's not pretending to be something it's not.
The defense I hear a lot is like, oh, it's just like one of those old-timey sci-fi movies, but that's always from people that have never watched those movies. It's the weirdest thing. People always say, oh, it's just like a corny old-timey movie. It's like, the only reason those movies are corny is because they're old. This is like a contemporary movie that's as kind of dumb and simple as those.
Yeah, well, it's from director Roland Emmerich. We're going to talk about Roland Emmerich a little. I think this was him thinking he was going. I think he still thinks he's the next Spielberg or.
There's all those elements just dumbed down.
Yeah, there's the Spielbergian way of putting a movie together, a way of shooting it. it's the scripts. And I don't know how much he has involved in the stories, because all of his movies have all these same hallmarks.
Yeah.
So either he's picking scripts that he likes, or he's giving his input into all these terrible, terrible cliches and ideas that end up in all of his movies. He made 2012, The Day, I want to say, I keep wanting to say The Day the Earth Stood Still.
The Day After Tomorrow.
And there's a lot of these big budget disaster movies, and they all have the same beats and all the same kind of character moments and all this. But you know this movie's terrible right off the bat, because it's got the hit the audience over the head with a hammer kind of stuff, where the opening scene, it's so terrible. It's like, okay, here's the moon, and a shadow comes over the moon. Aliens are coming.
Yeah.
Fine, great. Then cuts to SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. There's a group called SETI, and they sit there and they have tons of computers, and I think it's a volunteer thing, to be honest. I'm not exactly sure.
Who would volunteer for that?
People that like doing this. They sift through billions and billions of hours of data, and they look for patterns.
Yeah.
And so there's a guy, and they cuts to him, he's playing golf.
And it's the end of the world as we know it is playing.
It's playing by REM, yeah. And he's playing golf. Here's your shot. He's playing golf. He's bored. Not much happens at SETI. You get it? He's playing golf. In reality, the room would be empty. And once a week, somebody would come in and kind of look at a computer and leave.
Right.
That's probably what really happens at SETI. No one's monitoring SETI 24 hours a day, waiting for a red light to start flashing when a weird alien signal comes in. It goes, and he's like, he falls down and he drops and he grabs the phone. We've got an alien signal, without even analyzing it. Calls the guy in his room and he's like, what? Really, in real life, you're talking 6 to 9 weeks of analyzing the data before you even begin to make any conclusions. Now, I'm not an expert by any means.
But Mike, you have to put these things in a dramatic movie.
You have to put it in a dramatic.
You have to make it exciting for the audience.
You have to make it exciting, and you have to spell it out.
Yes.
And
I think that's the key, is spelling it out. Everything in this movie is so spot on.
And it looks like a cartoon kids show. The first half an hour is designed for cool shots and trailer shots.
Oh, sure.
And the buildup. Roland Emmerich likes the buildup. The text on the bottom of the screen. We're in this part of the world. We're in this part of the world.
Yeah.
And then there's those moments when someone picks up the phone and it's like, hey, I'm at a party. Hold on a minute. Say that again.
You also have another character getting woken up in bed.
He likes that people are being alarmed by something that's impending.
Right. Yes.
So there's all those scenes, blah, 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 blah. And here comes the alien ships.
They should be entering our atmosphere within the next 25 minutes.
This phenomenon is happening I don't know why I'm talking on the phone. The phenomenon is happening all over the world, and blah, 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 blah. All that's great. And then
there's a great shot when one of the ships is coming out from like the fog. You see like a bridge in the foreground. Is it New York, I think? And you just see it coming out from the sky.
Yeah, that might be all the people.
That's a nice looking shot.
That's all the praise you have.
Yeah, I think the all that lead up that you're talking about. It's all the little storylines and all the places they're going are sort of connected because they're all related to the alien invasion, except for the Randy Quaid stuff. It just kind of cuts to him, and you're like, what? Who is this? What does he have to do with anything? I thought that was a little jarring.
He's the most important character.
He turns out to be the most important character. But the way he's introduced is a little like, what? Where are we now? What movie is this?
I was actually thinking of, while I watched this, the most brilliant sequence in the whole film is the Will Smith waking up in bed and thinking everything's an earthquake scene. I think the whole movie should have just started that way.
Yeah.
Will Smith wakes up in bed because it's like, it's so wonderful. It's so visual and perfectly done. He's like, what? Is that an earthquake? She's like, it's not even a 4.0, honey. Go back to bed. Goes back to bed. He looks out, he goes to the bathroom, he's peeing, he looks out his window. There's people like scrambling and putting their stuff in the car. He's like, the neighbors are going on vacation or moving out of the neighborhood. And then he thinks there's an earthquake, so he cuts to the TV and there's like this big shape covering the entire LA area, and he's like, They're talking about the quake on TV.
Yeah.
And it's great. He goes out to get the paper, and then they never reveal what he's looking at, and everyone's just staring, and then they cut to him, and they got a Spielbergian push-in shot as he goes, oh, boom. Then go to the White House. So then everything's great up until the big moment, the turning point for me is the introduction of Harry Connick Jr. and the NASA letter. That's the moment when the film goes downhill for me.
Why that moment?
Well, one, because that's when it becomes garbage. It becomes, Will Smith can't just be a fighter pilot. He's got to be a guy who also wants to become a NASA astronaut. Boy, will he ever become a NASA astronaut by the end of the film?
I get the idea that that's paid off with him going into outer space, but...
It's ham-fisted characterization to the point of stupidity.
Sure, well, and like, he flies into outer space. That doesn't change the fact that he's still not in NASA.
What?
I don't...
He gets to go into space. That's been his dream.
I'm not arguing that it's not dumb. I just think like it's like with Randy Quaid, like he has his one little thing, and then he has the exact payoff for that thing. Will Smith has his NASA thing, and then he gets to go into outer space. Mm-hmm. It's not so much an arc as just kind of a line.
Yeah, well, I am not arguing that it's a quality character arc. It's like the same thing. Bill Pullman is the president, also a former fighter pilot.
Yeah.
And he's going to fly his plane at the end. It's corny.
Yes.
Corny is a good description for it. Corny and stupid. And if you like corny and stupid, it's a great movie. My favorite line is the guy in SETI when he says, "This is the real thing, a communication from the aliens."
And then he looks right at the camera.
That's what we're doing here.
It's the real thing. A radio signal from another world.
Did you notice a lot of the, like when they were trying to establish character traits, so many, with each character, everything was like repeated. It happened twice. Like the Harvey Fierstein character, at one point he's like, "I gotta call my mother."
Oh, I better call my mother.
Like, "I gotta call with my lawyer," or whatever.
Oh my God, I gotta call my brother. I better call my housekeeper. I gotta call my lawyer.
So he has two "I gotta call" moments. Jeff Goldblum has two recycling moments, which that doesn't pay off at all.
Hey, do you have any idea how long it takes for those cups to decompose?
But there's like two instances of him like, "We have to recycle."
Jeff Goldblum was a MIT graduate or something like that. Judd Hirsch is complaining at him, and he thinks he installs cable television. But he does something else.
By the way, did you get that Judd Hirsch is supposed to be really, really Jewish?
I did.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so tell me something. Are you so smart? How come you spend 8 years in MIT to become a cable repairman?
Dad,
All I'm saying is they got people who handle these things, David. They want HBO, they'll call you.
So let's talk about Jeff Goldblum. And you're complaining he's Eco Man.
Yes.
And that pays off in the fact that at the end he's very, very upset that Bill Pullman decides to use a nuclear weapon.
Let's nuke the bastards.
After the world is utterly destroyed. So he rides around on a bike because he doesn't have a driver's license because cars emit carbon monoxide poisoning, which causes global warming. And then he loves to recycle, and he yells at Harvey Fierstein to recycle his Fanta soda. You gotta save the earth, save the earth. And maybe it's funny because he literally saves the earth, but he doesn't save the earth or stop the aliens via an ecological solution. He does it via a computer solution.
That's why I thought it was so weird in rewatching it, why they were setting that up so strong at the beginning.
He does get shit-faced and start smashing things when he realizes Bill Pullman is going to drop a nuke on the alien ships.
Yes.
Unlike a rational person who says, "Use the nukes! We've resorted every option possible to us. Use the nukes."
They destroyed all of our major cities that they somehow knew were our major cities.
Jay, you couldn't argue that they can tell that there are major population centers via space. Okay, so we got an alien ship that's 1/5 the size of the moon. That's the mothership. And then when it comes near the Earth, 20 or so disc-like ships, which are also really big, start landing on Earth. And our introduction of the Jeff Goldblum character is he's playing chess with his father.
Oh, yes.
And he says checkmate. And this, my friend Jay, is how we know this film's made for dummies.
Yeah.
Because Jeff Goldblum, and we're supposed to think this is smart.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum
He's like, this
says,
is like chess, even though it's not, because we're not playing.
he's like, what they're doing is they're positioning their pieces, and they're ready for a checkmate.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, here's the thing. When you play chess, you have the exact same pieces on either side, and you're completely equal.
Yeah.
And you don't position all of your pieces at once. You make one move, and your opponent then makes a counter move. And then you go back and forth.
But then you can't dolly in on him as he goes, checkmate. And the audience goes, oh, that means disaster.
Snap! Checkmate, that means bad.
Does he say later, game over, or something else, or something similar?
Time's up.
Time's up, something like that.
Yeah, well, time's up when the counter runs out.
Yeah.
That's right. That's just.
So it's checkmate and then time's up.
That's a literal time's up because the time was up.
Yeah.
That's not really any kind of reference in anything.
Do we even need to explain how dumb that is, the whole countdown on the laptop?
Well, no, we can explain how dumb it is that the aliens are using our own satellites to communicate with each other.
That's what I mean. Well, and then like their countdown is in Earth time.
Well, no. Jeff Goldblum printed out a binary sheet of ones and zeros, and he noticed the pattern was getting smaller.
Sure.
So in his computer language, he transcoded that into a literal clock.
Is it established that he did that?
Yeah.
That it's his literal clock?
Yeah. It's not their alien transmission. He's like, this pattern is degrading at this rate.
Yeah.
Here's my interpretation of this rate,
Okay.
and this is when it'll end.
Well, if I'm misremembering that, then cut that.
No, that part is totally smart. Trust me.
I could have. Okay,
Trust
I'll take your
me,
word for it. You just rewatched it.
The fact that he intercepted the code because the aliens were using,
our satellites. Yeah.
Our satellites that are so important to them, one happens to smash into the mothership and explode. Hey, didn't you need that? But anyway, they're using our satellites because they don't have their own technology.
No.
They have no way of talking to each other secretly. They have interstellar travel and ships that are larger than cities, but they can't talk to each other. They have to use our satellites, which conveniently allows Jeff Goldblum to,
Right.
figure out a way to upload a virus. It's setting up something in a dumb way to be used later.
In a dumb way.
In a dumb way.
Well, Mike, speaking of the aliens, what is their goal?
Well, it's nebulous. No space pun intended. I don't know how they figure this out, but they know that the aliens are going around looking for resources.
Well, we know it because Brent Spiner just says so.
They're not all that dissimilar from us. Breathes oxygen, comparable tolerances to heat, cold. Probably why they're interested in our planet.
Yeah.
Because he's a scientist.
But they make absolutely no effort to collect resources.
No, they just blow everything up until they stop blowing everything up to wait a few days to decide to blow up more stuff?
No. Here's what they do first. Here's the aliens' brilliant plan.
Okay.
And they're brilliant, these aliens. They take their ships and they position them over all the major cities on the planet.
Right.
Which is fine. They can figure out which ones are the major ones, monitoring our communications, looking at the planet Earth at night and seeing which population centers have the most electrical grids.
Sure.
Fine with that. And then they position all their pieces, just like chess. So you move all your pieces all over the board.
All at once.
And then you make a big move.
Yes.
With all of your pieces at once. And they exterminate cities. And then, even though they presumably have faster than light travel, their ships have to slowly move to other major cities, which is why they had to wait. You're looking at it as waiting, but really they're moving. And there's a part where Bill Pullman's like, they just took out Chicago and Philadelphia and Tampa and lesser cities. And so that's the waiting part. They don't notice that Air Force One's flying away and go. They don't care about that. They're just slowly exterminating the planet.
They're focused on the big picture, just like Ed Wood.
Right.
Which this movie reminds me of a bit.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So they're there to exterminate the population before stealing the resources, I guess.
Do they want that Fanta?
They want Fanta.
They come to Earth to steal our Fanta?
They came to Earth to steal all of our empty plastic bottles.
Well, that would be a good thing. Jeff Goldblum should let them.
They just needed to talk to Jeff Goldblum. We're give you our plastic bottle. You want our carbon monoxide? Oh. I don't know. Jeff Goldblum sounds a little like Jimmy
Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart. Okay, so Jay, what are resources?
I guess water. Do they want our water?
Water.
Yeah.
That's good. Trees?
I don't know. Sure. Do they want our volcanoes? Suck up a whole volcano?
What they needed to do
That's what fuels their ships?
is to convert their ship into a giant robotic spaceship maid.
Suck, suck, suck.
She's gone from suck to blow. I mean, Spaceballs made more sense.
Yeah.
We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money.
Why do they need to kill us to steal our resources?
That's also a very good question, because they could just park one of their gigantic ships with giant resource stealing prongs that come down into our atmosphere and start sucking up our oceans.
Yeah.
And then we come out, what's that big thing? Oh my God, it's sucking up our oceans. All the fighter jets on Earth, attack it. Oh, our shields are up.
Yeah.
Bye. You know? The movie's folly is that it establishes this very overwhelming, undefeatable force that doesn't know what it wants.
Right.
That we don't know what it wants.
Can we talk about the design of the aliens and how lame it is?
Sure.
They're just H.R. Giger ripoffs. That's my biggest problem with, like, the script is like bare bones what you need for this type of movie. The designs of like the ships and the aliens and everything is incredibly uncreative. It's just the round disc, the classic round disc ship. The aliens are ripoffs of Giger's designs.
Actually,
and we don't know what the aliens want. So
Well-
it's the whole thing is just a flat line.
it is very boring and corny and flatline. I would have preferred the classic Roswell flying saucer look.
Well, they kind of, doesn't it like splits open and there's like a smaller, it's sort of that.
It has a vague round shape to it, or disc shape to it, but they didn't go all the way.
Yeah.
Because look, it's got to have this cool little top thing, and it's got to have all this. It's got to be different.
Right.
Because I think if they went saucer, then everyone would have complained that it was too corny. But for me, that would have been awesome. Flying saucers.
In the hands of a smarter filmmaker, you could do something interesting with that.
Yeah, but they went like, they didn't go cool enough, and they didn't go corny enough with the alien design, where they went sort of in the middle, and it is blah.
Yeah.
It's blah. To me, that doesn't matter at all. I don't care what they look like. You know, as long as they don't look like the aliens at the end of The Explorers, I'm fine with
I would have preferred that.
in the interim, after destroying the first set of major cities, not just American, world cities, the humans set off a counterattack, which is Harry Connick Jr. and Will Smith.
Will Smith's best friend.
Will Smith's best friend.
I guess they're best friends.
There's a quick gay panic scene that's insulting and pointless. When he proposes to Will Smith, he finds his ring,
Oh, yeah.
and he's like, this is a wedding ring, and he's on his knees, and then some guy comes in and goes, I don't deal with gays, and he walks out. And then they have their military briefing, where
Yes.
the general tells them, you know, we're going to go fight these gigantic ships that destroyed the entire country. And then Harry Connick Jr. makes jokes and says, hold me.
Hold me.
Hey, pay attention.
Something you want to add to this briefing, Captain Hiller?
No, sir. Just a little anxious to get up there and whoop E.T.'s ass, that's all. I got it right here. Yeah.
And that's when dummies laugh in the theater.
Well, it's a world-threatening issue. You want it to be as light and wacky as possible. You don't want your humor to stem from just naturally from the characters and the way they interact. You have to throw in dumb jokes.
Yeah, yeah. This is from the book of Michael Bay.
Yes.
So the fighter jets attack, and they realize they have shields, and then they have a little shootout. And then even though they have shields up and they're impervious to the fighters, the aliens send out their own little fighters so that it could be like Star Wars.
Blow through!
But there's a reason logically in the movie why they do that, right?
No. It's so that the movie could be closer to Star Wars.
Okay.
There's even lines like the one guy can't pull up.
Night 3, pull up! Pull up!
Rules have shown complete failure in the steps.
Got a problem here.
Yeah.
Which is what happens to Porkins. I'm all right.
Poor Porkins.
And then there's an Asian pilot who says, "There's too many of them."
Too many of them! There's too many of them.
Which is exactly what happens in Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
I don't know if you'd call it homage or...
Well, I thought it was weird later in the movie when Jeff Goldblum, when they're flying out of the ship at the end, he's like, must go faster. Like they're referencing Jurassic Park, which came out like 3 years earlier.
Shut up! Must go faster. Must go faster. Must go faster.
Yep.
I thought that was odd. That's a too soon moment. You don't watch something brand new.
It's Roland Emmerich saying he's the new Spielberg Lucas.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can skip over the exciting subplot of Will Smith's stripper girlfriend driving a dump truck around and finding the First Lady.
Sure.
Only to bring her back to the hospital to die of horrible internal wounds. Which is disappointing because it's Mary McDonnell.
She's a solid actress. She's good in this movie.
She goes from being the First Lady to the President in Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, okay.
Just like another current politician is going to go from being the First Lady to the President, and that's Donald Trump. There's a lot of terms for things that happen in movies, and I don't know if this one has been coined yet, but it's the dumb offhanded comment that makes someone think of a brilliant plan.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the part where
somebody says, don't catch a cold or
Judd
something.
Hirsch says, don't catch a cold. Then he goes, wait a minute. That's brilliant. Why do you not want to catch cold? So I don't know what that term is. It might exist.
If you know what it is, put it in the comments below.
It's called, we'll call it
It's called Hack Screenwriter Tip number 107.
So Jeff Goldblum gets the idea of uploading a computer virus to the alien ship.
Which he knows how to do.
Hey, you know what? When he's explaining his plan, there's that one guy who's just like, how do we know this is gonna work? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with that guy. But I also agree with Jeff Goldblum. Like, why the fuck not?
Yeah, at that point, what else you got to lose?
Like, you could say, this is like kind of like a nerd argument, right?
Yeah.
How is he gonna upload a computer virus? How do you even know that instantly the alien technology will just shut it down, right?
Right.
But they established in the script that earlier the aliens were using our satellite systems to communicate with each other. So they're interlinked, they're networked all together by our satellites. We're going to use that to upload something back to them.
Sure.
Logically in the script, it makes sense. You have to accept it. It's fine. Whether or not an Earth-based computer virus circa 1996 will somehow magically shut down the mothership or cause their shields to go down, who knows?
Well, which is more unlikely, him being able to do that or Will Smith knowing how to fly their ship, the alien ship?
Well, Will Smith,
because he is a pilot, so he knows how to fly some alien technology.
You're forgetting a very important detail.
What is that?
He wanted to be in NASA.
Oh, of course.
That's why that's in the movie. That gives him that edge over other pilots.
Yes. I'm surprised they didn't do something that stupid, where it was like a character that just plays like flight simulators or video
Like
games.
a teenager?
The
Like-
teenager,
yeah.
and then he's the one who has to fly the ship at the end.
The president's son, instead of that stupid daughter who does nothing, the president's son loves Nintendo.
Yeah, there you go.
And yeah, oh God, yeah, that's so dumb it should have been in there.
Maybe that'll be in the sequel. We'll do something like that.
Jimmy, you play video games, right? It's all about eye-hand coordination. I've examined the alien technology, and you have to have eye-hand coordination level 10. Even the best pilots in the Air Force don't have that. And everyone looks at Jimmy, and he's playing his Game Boy, and he looks up with his sideways baseball cap. That's so bad. I can't believe it wasn't in the film.
Yeah, yeah.
So they fly up in space, and then the mothership takes over and kind of brings them inside, and then he uploads the virus. Now, mind you, it's not exciting enough if the virus just shut their power down.
Right. You have to have an Earth battle.
It has to all just lower their shields.
Right.
So that they can still have a space battle or a spaceship battle, I should
Yes.
say.
Which is a really exciting sequence when it's just endless shit flying everywhere.
Compared to a modern day movie, I didn't mind that ending because I understood what was happening.
I guess.
The president's out there flying, he's got his missiles. He's like, I'm gonna shoot this missile and hit the target because the virus doesn't shut down the spaceship's ability to power up their green laser weapon.
Right.
It just shut their shields down. So they're hanging over the base where the president and all the top military guys are, and they're going to blow that base up. So that's the threat. We got to stop that, and it's going to shoot the laser down. So we know what's going to happen. We know what they got to do. They got to shoot a rocket up and hit that. President's got the last rocket. He misses.
Yeah.
Randy Quaid has another rocket. He comes out of nowhere. His rocket malfunctions. So I understood what was happening. It wasn't just total chaos.
Well, I guess that's a plus.
Yes, that's a big plus.
Knowing what's going on in the climax of your film is usually appreciated.
I'll make a point to reference Star Trek The Next Generation, The Best of Both Worlds. Captain Picard has been controlled by the Borg. He's been retaken back by the Enterprise crew. And he says, sleep, Data, sleep. And then stupid Beverly Crusher says, he must be exhausted. And then Data's like, no, bitch. He's trying to tell us a course of action. Put the Borg to sleep via a subcommand, which is very similar to sending in a virus. And then they put all the Borg to sleep. They trick them into thinking it's time to regenerate.
Okay.
But in order to make it exciting, for some reason, the self-destruct starts happening on the Borg cube, and then it blows up. So I can't be hypocritical. I understand why they just didn't say the virus turned all the ships off and they all just crashed.
Right.
I have to concede this notion. Best of Both Worlds would not have ended very excitingly if
But you
the Borg
could.
ship just shut off and they went to sleep.
Sure. But you could reduce the amount of pointless characters you have in your movie and just get rid of Randy Quaid altogether, and maybe the president sacrifices himself at the end. Just streamline it a little bit. We don't need all these bullshit characters everywhere.
Too many people.
It's what?
Pulled and pushed around. Too many waiting for that lucky break.
But the dumbness comes in the last 2 hours of the film, where whoever wrote the script, the first 30 pages is this looming threat, and then it's like, oh God, we got to wrap this up. He's on this last 5 pages. How do I wrap this up? Oh my God. Okay, they're gonna shoot the space laser down. Randy Quaid has to shoot his plane up. You have to hit the space laser at the exact moment it hits it's full power. It's like when the Death Star powers up its laser.
Yeah.
All the prongs come together, and then that's the moment you have to hit it, because presumably what happened was the energy shot back and blew up the entire inside of the ship. So you have the Randy Quaid incident, perfectly done. That man hit his mark, and now we're going to assume that everyone else did, all over the entire planet.
Yeah, but we don't have to see all that, because America's the most important.
Sure.
We figured it out. We tell the rest of the world how to do it, and then they just do it off camera.
And then the movie ends in a happy note where everyone goes to a lake bed, dry lake bed, and meets Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum after they come back to Earth.
All our characters are reunited at the end.
And they're all happy.
They're all happy.
The hooker drives the dump truck. Everyone.
Why is she a stripper? Is it just to show like kind of a lowly job that she, because she doesn't really do anything in the whole movie. She sort of, I guess she drives the first lady around.
She rescues the president's wife, and then for no reason other than to set up for a stupid joke, Mary McDonnell asks her what she does.
Yeah.
So what do you do for a living?
Because what the fuck does that matter anymore? There are no cities. What do you do for work? Do you have to be back to work tomorrow? Did you call in sick? It just says, what do you do? Oh, I'm a dancer. Oh, I love the ballet. No, I'm a filthy stripper. Oh, I'm so ashamed of my comment. Well, and I'm like, love your films. There was some mild to moderate controversy around the time the movie came out, and I could be wrong about this, where they meaning either the producers or censors or somebody said, we don't want to show the image of the White House just exploding. They did it in the trailer, but in the actual film they have an awkward close-up and then an awkward shot of someone in a helicopter.
You see the helicopter like obscuring it a bit in the foreground, and that's not what was in the trailer. It was just like a flat shot of it blowing up.
Yes. Someone, somewhere, someplace, sometime said, that's bad. That's offensive or disrespectful or something. And it was like a controversy, and then they had to re-edit it.
But you re-edit it, it's still the same thing.
It's still the same premise,
That's
but
so weird.
It's not the uninterrupted shot of a thing blowing up the White House.
Huh.
And so, I don't know. And this is pre-9/11 territory, so who knows? But I just remember that being a thing, and then watching the movie and going, that was weird, that was clunky. It felt clunky.
If only whoever this was had fought harder to have the movie just not get released.
Oh.
It would have saved us decades of headaches.
Can we talk about the film called ID4?
Isn't that what we were talking about?
Independence Day 4?
Well, no, now we've got ID4 2 coming out.
They don't call it that, Jay. They call it Independence Day Resurgence. It's a colon.
Okay, so ID4:2.
No, there's no 2 involved.
They don't do 2s anymore.
No, they don't do numbers anymore.
Yeah.
You could blame the Resident Evil series for that. It's just Independence Day Resurgence.
Sure.
But the fact that this was called ID4 doesn't make sense. There are not 4 Independence Days.
Right. I mean, they're referencing the date, of course, but
in 1780 there would have been 4 Independence Days, but not now. I guess it's like DC Comics, which is Detective Comics.
Oh, sure.
You
say it because it sounds good.
You say it sounds good. ID4, Independence Day. And it's really redundant. It's just Independence Day or July 4th.
Yeah.
Well, Roland Emmerich wouldn't know that because he's a filthy foreigner.
I do think that the idea of us like now having their technology, and 20 years later they come back and we can kind of use their technology against them is kind of an interesting point to start from. As far as a late sequel goes. So we're gonna have a bigger ship And we're gonna have, I think I saw a TV spot where it was like a bigger alien, like their exosuit is bigger. So it's just the same movie, but everything's bigger.
And Brent Spiner's back, even though he died.
Of course. Of course.
I guess it wasn't conclusive. The guy goes down and, like, I think touches his neck and maybe checks for a pulse, and then he's like, clearly looks like his neck is broken.
Yeah.
But no one ever said he died. Just get him back. Good old Data.
Hey, at least he's getting work. That's the good thing about all these like late nostalgic sequels, all these revival movies, is they're all like actors that haven't done anything in forever, and now they all get to have a big movie again.
Yeah, that's true.
So good for them.
The Karen Allen effect.
The Karen Allen effect, yeah.
And we all get to learn something amazing in Independence Day Resurgence, is that Judd Hirsch is not dead. That's the most shocking science fiction element of all. Well, I guess we'll look forward to watching Independence Day Resurgence when it comes out in the movie theaters.
When it comes out on ID4?
I'm sorry? Oh, July 4th?
ID4.
The ID channel?
Independence Day, July 4th, 4.
It is corny, and I would enjoy a corny movie about aliens attacking the Earth. It's called Mars Attacks. Tim Burton made it. It was fine. But this takes itself seriously, too seriously to be a silly B movie. And it has,
but not seriously enough to take its threat serious. It's a weird.
And its threat is poorly written and is there just for the show of it.
Yeah.
Look at the big spaceships. Aren't they big? Look at how much damage they do. Isn't that amazing? Wrap it up real quick. We stopped them. It's poorly written.
Yeah.
And it's ham-fisted, and it's pandering and dumb. And the corny element is not charming. It falls into the dumb area. And that's a matter of opinion, of what corny is fun and bad.
Sure.
But in this case, we're right.